So a wise man once said, give a man a thought and you feed his brain for a day. Teach him how to think and you feed his brain for life. Thinking is actually the root of who we are, and oftentimes our thoughts really impact our feelings. And so it's very important to have a good foundation on that. We have to cultivate into habits that will help us monitor our thinking, that will help observe our minds and the way it's functioning and all the insights that it brings. So I thought of sharing some habits that will turn you into a first class mind, into a first class thinker. These smart ways of thinking will help you become more happier, more resilient, will help you be more organized more effectively, and also improve your decision making skills, as well as they'll have a positive impact in every aspect of your life, at home, at work, and in all relationships that you'll be in. So, one kind of thinking that will make you a resilient person is knowing who you really are. Most of the time, when we face hardships or challenging situations, we tend to quickly run into conclusion that there is something wrong with us. That's why that particular situation has happened, that particular hardship has happened to us. And that's usually because we attach our situations to our own true identity. And in that case, whenever the situation happens, our self esteem is usually dragged down immediately. And that's a very difficult way to cope in such situations, to cope with stress in such situations. So we have to think in a way that we have to separate our situations and our own true identity. For example, let's say you're going through a relationship breakup or you have not gotten the job that you are after. That doesn't mean that you are a total failure. That doesn't reflect your entire self. That's just a part or an aspect of your life that has happened, and perhaps it does not happen the way you wanted it to happen. But there are other aspects of your life. For example, you have your values, you have your strengths, you have your family, you have your friends, and all that. So you failing to get the job is not a total reflection of your entire self, because you're still the same person that you were before applying for the job, and even after getting after failing to get the job. So we have to really separate these two, the situations and our own true identity, for us to be able to think more resilient and for us to be able to quickly cope with such situations or such difficulties whenever we face them. When you start to think this way, it makes it less difficult to cope with stress. So the next is taking control of your response towards them, consciously taking charge of your life. So with the same example, you have missed the first job application that you were after. Why not go ahead and apply for another job application or seek for professional advice or just do something that will help? Your resilience will improve simply because you're in control. Believing that you're in control of your life makes you feel happier. It motivates you to seek ways of coping with situations, or at least just thinking of a new way to go about your problems, even when you know sometimes there might be very less that you can do about the situation. But the fact that you believe that you're in control of it, it helps you to take control of the actions that you're going to apply towards the problem. The next one on the list, which is actually the funny one, it is what it is. It is what it is. This is the kind of acceptance that builds resilience, and this acceptance is not about giving up, it's just about the fact that you acknowledge or you recognize the existence of a situation or a challenge, and you're just not living in denial. If in your mind you're trying to change something that is inevitable or unchangeable, then you are stuck in that place. You have to change things when you can, and some things just can't be changed, and you have to acknowledge that you can't change some situations because maybe they are unavoidable or they are in the past, and you just have to live with it. So the sooner you accept that, you are then able to move to the next stage of you thinking of, okay, what can you do about the situation going forward? What are other ways of you coping with the situation after realizing that, or after acknowledging the existence of the problem? The next one is writing your thoughts down. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to know where to begin when coping with stress, because we have all these thoughts in our heads just rotating, and it's hard for us to catch them, and it becomes overwhelming in the end. But we have to take our thoughts out of our heads onto the paper, and make them stay still on the paper because it's difficult for them to stay still in the head. And you can do this by, some do this by writing poems, some do this by journaling. I do journaling from time to time, and this is just a good way of you to actually go back to the thoughts that you have written on the paper where you have recorded them, and actually try to think of one thought after the other, trying to solve one thought after the other. And this all is just a way for us to liberate our minds, for us to get as many thoughts out of our heads as possible, because we want to work with a clear mind. So a good way of doing this, of working with a clear mind, but not forgetting our thoughts or our problems, is by writing them on the paper and knowing that we have them in store somewhere and we can go back and actually work on them one after the other. So write your thoughts down, journaling, poems, just do something that will make it, or that's easy for you to actually go back and reflect on those thoughts that you have written down. The final one in the resilient category is good enough is just fine sometimes, and too much criticism isn't helpful. Resilient people actually know how to be kind to themselves. You can be a resilient person, yet you can be still kind to yourself. If you find yourself that only a tiny setback knocks your whole self down and the whole perception that you have of yourself, then it makes it very difficult for you to cope and to recover from them. So next time when things don't go the way that you wanted them to go, or the way you planned them to go, try to think of the parts that you did good and embrace that part, while thinking of the ways that you can improve for the parts that you did not do well, and forgive yourself for the parts that you did not do well. And just know that at the end of the day, the whole situation has nothing to do about you or about who you are. It's just an aspect of life that happened, and it did not happen the way that you wanted it to happen. So those are some of the resilient thinking habits. Please do comment down below what are your thoughts. I would love to hear from you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay positive and stay blessed. Bye bye.